welcome along to the Invincible podcast, brought to you today by our big sponsors, NordVPN. Look, if Arteta's doing everything he can do to protect Arsenal's tactics from rival managers, you need to be doing the same with your online life. That's where NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro comes in. This feature blocks malware, stops you from landing on dodgy sites, and even scans files while you're downloading. And what's more, NordVPN is giving AFTV viewers an exclusive offer where you can grab an extra 4 months on a 2-year plan. Just go to nordvpn.com/AFTV and click the link below. So whether you're streaming, just watching the match, or kicking back and watching a show, NordVPN has got your back. And trust me, this feature is a game changer. Stay protected just like Arsenal's backline and enjoy browsing with a peace of mind. And it's all risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. So to be sure to check this out at nordvpn.com/AFTV. Thank you to NordVPN for powering this video. Thank you very much to NordVPN for sponsoring this show. Joining me today, I've got Lee Judges, and I've got, of course, the big man himself. Or should I call you big man after the other day you trying to trim it down a bit?
Slightly smaller man will do.
Slightly smaller man, Julian. Big up yourself. Good to have you on board, you guys. Coming off the back of a win. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I want to talk about that, and obviously got a massive game coming up at the weekend now in the Premier League. Actually, before I get started, I do owe you a little apology because you were getting a little bit of a. Remember the other day when we was abroad, right? Yeah. Talking to the Champions League.
Got a bit of grief.
Yeah, just I was only joking, people, when I said that he run off from paying that bill. He did actually pay the bill, right? But
we was just having a joke.
He was slagging me off, saying, "Oh, look, you're making me look like I'm some tight guy, and I run off from paying the bill." And
he had a go at us all, didn't he?
He had a go at all of us, but he did actually pay the bill.
Thank you.
All right, so
apology accepted.
All right, so I apologise to you for that.
It was Joe's idea, anyway.
Yeah. What I'm not going to apologise to you for is this new format. Now, you told me, right, that you could guarantee me that if Arsenal got 16 points, and we're going to get into the game in a minute, they're definitely through. 98% sure that Arsenal are through to their next stage if they get 16 points. We're on 13 now.
Yep.
Do you still stand by that?
Well, that stat came from an Opta supercomputer running various different games. I think they put about 1,000 games through, 1,000 different permutations of how the games could play out, and they worked out that 16 points gave a 98% chance of qualifying. 17 points would be 100%. Now, things have changed. So
the computer broke down, did it?
Well, it didn't break down, but this
messed up.
Well, this was done before they played the games, and obviously now we're a lot closer to knowing exactly what the scenarios are. So last night when I got in, I spent about an hour putting a spreadsheet together with the current situation of the chances of us getting through at 16 points.
Where is this spreadsheet?
Unfortunately, I forgot it because I was in such a rush to get here.
What was the percentage now?
Well, it was a bit more complicated because what it was that the reason why we've got a much better chance, because what you were working out quite correctly is that other teams could catch us on 16 points that were below us.
Yep.
But one thing that we didn't factor in was the amount of teams that are playing each other that could actually catch us.
And how many of those?
There was 5 different games where they're playing each other. Unfortunately, Barcelona was in 2 of those games, who are actually above us. And from what I understand about this format, it doesn't really matter whether you come 1st or 8th, unless anyone knows differently. So as long as you get in the top 8, it's as good as coming 1st.
So
it doesn't matter.
So if you get 16 points, we're through, according to you?
No, 16 points we should get through. 17
but you can't
points.
You're not. It's not 98% no more. You're not.
That's 3 minutes of my life. I ain't going to get back.
I wouldn't have thought it's 98%, and we'd have to go.
So you're unsure?
I'm not entirely. I couldn't say it was 98%. So I will absolutely give you that.
But you're pretty unsure if we get 16 points, if that would definitely guarantee. So
I've always said
if we win our next game, that would get us 16 points.
Yeah.
We lost our last one.
Okay.
Are you sure that we're then through?
No, I've said that from yesterday. 16 points does not guarantee us qualification. That is for sure.
17 does.
17 does. So if
17
you just want to do yes and no, 16 points doesn't guarantee. Well, not even a maybe. Should do. So basically, 16 points should do. A win and a draw definitely does.
So basically, your 98% thing was very inaccurate.
No, 98% was absolutely accurate at the beginning of the competition.
No, but it's still the competition. You're telling us about how something's going to run in the competition.
Just
right?
hold your hand.
As the competition is rolling by, your 98% has proven to be very inaccurate.
Yeah.
No, it hasn't proven yet because it hasn't played out.
But what do you think is going to play out like? Do you think 16 points is going to be enough to guarantee?
Yes. But you're using the word think and then guarantee in the same
You said
sentence.
98%. That's what I'm trying to get.
98% is...
Because I think not.
Okay.
I think 17 points guarantees you.
Well, I said that.
I think 16 points, right? Just to break it down quite simply.
50-50.
I think 16 points.
It's not 50-50. It's not 50-50. 16 points should give you qualification. The probability is it's probably around. I haven't worked out the exact percentages, but I would say that it's at least 16 points, 80% probability that we will qualify. 17 points, 100%.
So would you agree it's a lot more complicated than the previous?
It makes it more interesting, and complicated sometimes can be more interesting. Does everyone want simplicity in their lives, or do you want something a little bit more?
I don't know if it makes it interesting. I think but
it makes it more interesting that the fact we're even debating this. So whereas previously you'd know you're through in top place, and there's the last few games were pretty meaningless.
There's teams that could still get to that 16 point threshold, right? Those are all the teams from going right down to 19th place.
Yes,
could get 16 points
unless they're playing each other, which is what
top 8 go through.
Yeah, which is what I was looking at yesterday. The teams that are playing each other, which means they can't get an extra 6 points.
So like Lisa, so that we don't labour the point, basically that 98% was very, very inaccurate.
I don't think it was.
I think 17 is what you got to look for.
Well,
17 is the number.
17 point is the number. But I said that yesterday. 17 point
say
guarantees
that a couple of weeks ago when you was in there smug.
Yeah.
No, I always said
about your spreadsheets. 98%.
Got it out like saying you've guaranteed this. And
no, it's
98%. Let's be real. 98% is your almost guaranteed.
Yes, almost guaranteed. 98%.
How many points have Liverpool got at the moment?
They've got 18. They're already through.
Liverpool.
They're already done.
They're guaranteed.
Liverpool. The only teams guaranteed to go through so far is Liverpool.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
What in the top 8?
In the top 8.
Yeah, they've won all their games, haven't they?
Barcelona on 15. Then you've got Arsenal, Leverkusen, Villa, Inter Milan, Brest, Lille, all on 13. Right. If those were all to win their last 2 games, they all go through. But then you've then got Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, even Atalanta and Juventus, Benfica, Monaco, Sporting, Feyenoord, Club Brugge. They can all get 16 points.
I think it goes down to about 15th place.
That's unbelievable.
But that makes it more interesting, actually.
Just like looking at Sporting, they were right up there. And 2 defeats and they're right out of it.
Yes. So if you take the argument away from maths and is it more interesting, then I would argue that it is.
What to get into the top 8 is more interesting?
Because even at this late stage of the competition, with 2 games left, we don't know who's going to be
in the top 8.
Who's going to be in the top 8, and that makes that makes the games more interesting.
What to get into the top 8?
Yeah,
it makes it more interesting.
To me,
it's a big thing to get into top 8.
I said this from day one. Right, well, not even from day one because I've given it a chance. I said it. To me, it's like the system that they use in American sports. We just play loads and loads and loads and loads of games. Then it ends with some sort of playoff system. Then you go to, and it's all been generated to make more money. I don't think any of these managers are going to be happy now that you're going into January, right? Because remember, at this stage now, in December, that's when it would be finished, the competition. Then you start again in February, right? Now you've got to play 2 games, probably must-win games in January, because even if we beat Zagreb, we're still not guaranteed probably to go through. So you have to then got that game against Girona. So they're all must wins right till the end. Then you've got the FA Cup, could still have Carabao Cup, and you've got the league.
Well, am I missing something here? What is the great thing about getting in the top 8? What else does it get?
Top 8 stops
so basically,
you. So if you get in the top 8, you don't have to
earning more money, because the other teams are going to earn more money out of those games.
I guess
right?
so, yeah.
Right, because they've got another 2 games, right? Yeah. So you get top 8. Is there any seeding that goes into that, or what?
That I don't know actually.
Well, there is another advantage there, is that when you do get into that,
you get home advantage or away advantage.
You get the home. You get the home tie second,
you do,
which is an advantage. And also, you would think you're playing a weaker team.
Is that guaranteed? Is that 98% sure?
No, it's 100% sure.
Oh, right, okay.
Unless they change the rules, but I'm 100%
what do you mean
sure.
Change the rules?
No, I said if. It was a joke.
So that is a guarantee. If you're in the top 8,
it's guaranteed.
You're away from home in the draw.
Correct.
Right.
And also, you should be playing a weaker team. I know it could.
What do you mean, you're a weaker team?
Well, a weaker team that hasn't qualified in the top 8. You'd think that the majority of teams in the top 8 are going to be the stronger teams in the Champions League.
The teams that are not in the top 8 right now: Dortmund, not weak; Bayern, not weak; Atletico, AC Milan, Atalanta, Juventus, Benfica, Monaco, Sporting, Feyenoord, Club Brugge, Real Madrid, City, Manchester City, Celtic, PSV, and Dinamo Zagreb.
Okay.
Out of those, right, I'd probably say, well, you could pick out Zagreb, Celtic, obviously, Feyenoord, Monaco. We saw them last night. Every other team in that top 8, in that sort of next from 9 to 24, are good sides. As a matter of fact, the teams. The surprising thing about this format that's been put together to really help those big clubs.
Right, yeah.
Let's face it, to get through, right? The top 8: Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal. Right, 3 very strong teams. Leverkusen, who had a good season last year, but then you got Villa, Inter Milan, another powerhouse, Brest and Lille. In that.
Yeah, would they end up in the end?
Could do.
Question. Yeah, could do. Yeah,
but ultimately, what you're doing is you're judging it on history, which is fine, because these clubs historically have always been big clubs. You've picked out Real Madrid, you've picked out Manchester City, but in the format, and this is the argument, is that always the top teams, the best teams, win a league format. Now, all right, it's not Premier League as in 38 games, but you have played a number of games, and the teams at the top are there deservedly.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean to say they're going to win it, do they?
No,
it's a long, drawn-out format, in my opinion, to make more money for teams.
Oh yeah, it's all about more money.
It is.
We all know that.
It is.
It is that.
It is, but it is making it slightly more interesting now. In that, as you said, that you saw it as
not for me, isn't it? I don't know where you're getting the interest from. Like,
my interest would be once the playoffs start. Has it made an interest?
I'm like, if Arsenal getting, I'm not looking at it. I don't know about if you like when it was the group stages. I like got to get into first. I'm looking at it like you got 1 in 8 chance to get into the top 8.
It'd be like in the previous stages now. It'd be like beat Monaco. That's it, done. Up. That sort of thing. I've not had that vibe in any time throughout these games that we've been.
And
playing.
we haven't really. Do you know? Like we've had. Who's the powerhouses? We've had PSG.
Inter.
Was it and Inter were the 2?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is 2 big teams.
But
then the other thing is, if we look back at last season, I think we played PSV in a dead rubber, didn't we? At the end, it didn't matter. All the positions were set. This time, you've already set, and you saw it as a disadvantage. I see it as an advantage that we're going to Girona, regardless of the other results. We've got to get something. So it actually there's something on that game. There's nothing worse for me than to go to a game of football and just not care. Apathy, for me, is the one thing I really hate about going to football.
I'd rather go to that Girona game knowing we're through already.
What's the point of then going to a competitive game of football? It might be a friendly.
We can
because Liverpool can rest players. It is an advantage.
You've got many other games, right? I mean, I don't want to go to Girona having to know that if we don't win that, we could be possibly playing Real Madrid in a knockout.
Play a full side.
But that is what football's all about. I mean, the reason...
It doesn't have to be every single game. Every single game doesn't have to be.
Yeah, because you want something on it. Otherwise, you don't care. What's the point?
There is something on it.
But there's not if it's the format that you wanted.
Try and get as many points as you want. right? But to me,
But then if it doesn't matter,
you've done the work. You're through.
I mean, I'm looking back at
not every single game has to have like absolutely everything on it.
Yeah, and they're less interesting.
We've done our work in the early rounds. We're through.
Yeah, but they're less interesting games. Do you remember?
Don't go then.
But I do want to go because I want to go to every game. But every game for me has a different level of enjoyment. I remember in fact, the PSV game. The one thing I remember about it is when we got in and that crush. I can't remember much else about that game.
No, there are games like that. And listen, at the end of the day, whatever format you have, it's not as exciting as the knockout stages, is it? That's how you got to look at it.
And and it's warming it up for the knockout stages.
Okay, well, listen, let's focus on the game. It was a real strange game at the Emirates because, Arsenal winning by 3-0.
What's so much pressure on it, was it?
And normally, if you win 3-0 and you come out of the stadium, everybody's buzzing, everybody's talking about, great performances, this person, that person. Speaking to fans last night, a lot of people were still moaning.
I couldn't believe it.
And they were moaning, saying that about, fair enough, 3-0, but, we made hard work of that 3-0, should really have won that at minimum 5-0. Minimum. No, when I think about it, minimum 6-0 with the chances that we have. I watched it back again last night. A minimum 6. I'd say 6-1 because they missed one chance as well that they should have scored from, but which weren't as easy as the ones we had because the guy still had to turn. What did you make of it? It was a strange one, isn't it? Because as I said, we've won 3-0, but
I thought it was a strange game all the way around. I do think we're playing games with a safety net because if you draw that game, it ain't the end of the world. At 1-0, if that was Saturday, we'll be going mad missing all those chances. But I don't know about you, I felt still relaxed. I didn't feel like, oh no, we're going to lose this game, we're going to drop points here or whatever. It was a funny situation. I think like a little bit of pressure off, but we did miss some chances. I didn't think we was great on the day. I don't think it was a great performance, but it's chalk and cheese from how I felt on Sunday when I felt it was the same sort of performance. We didn't win that game, but we won this game, and winning covers up 1,000 sins, doesn't it? It's as simple as that. Like, you don't really look on I think some people, some fans have, because they've started criticising Mourinho, criticising Jesus, whatever, and I get all of that.
But Mourinho had a good game.
Yeah, I thought Mourinho.
I did. I couldn't believe it when I was saying, when people were going, he's not very good, he's had a great game. I couldn't believe what I thought. Have I watched? I know sometimes you do watch different. I thought he was decent yesterday. I thought he helped and balanced the midfield out very, very well. But people are always going to criticise. I think it was a great performance, but it's a win and you move on to the next game, didn't you? That's how I feel.
A player that was got a lot of criticism after the game was Gabriel Jesus. Now he missed 2 absolute sitters, one-on-ones. Did have a brilliant assist for the first goal. It was just a great pass for that goal. But you got number 9 on your back. So when you're through on goal, right, which he was twice, at least one of those chances got to bury in it.
Yeah, I think if you look at the first chance, that was a really bad miss because it showed his lack of confidence. And I felt, and I don't want to be sucked into this, but you have enough people around you telling you something, and eventually it has an effect. And it had an effect on me when he went through and he missed that. And for me, it was a miss. All right.
Did you think he was going to score?
Yes, I did.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I did think, and not only did I.
It was 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a case
98%.
Yeah.
98% is the new 50-50.
Yeah. But more importantly than me thinking that he was going to score, I thought he should score. A player in that position playing for Arsenal, regardless of whether he's a centre forward, centre half, centre midfield, even you say almost a goalkeeper. I think Turkey said in his interview, you'd expect them to be able to score in that position. You're clean through that ball through from Kivior. I'm not sure whether it's a case of that, both their main centre halves were out. There's a lack of discipline there and coordination, but it was a great ball through and he's clean through. A striker or a player at that level that Arsenal are at should put the ball in the back of the net. When he didn't, I felt that he's not good enough. For the first time, I thought there's no redemption now. He can't come back.
Second chance,
I thought was more of a good defending and keeper.
Yeah, he gets a touch.
Yeah, he gets touched. It wasn't so damning. But that first one, I thought I've had enough of him now, and it's very rare for me to.
I thought both. At first, listen,
He had 3 good chances.
He had 3 chances. The first one,
the third one was
the
rubbish.
first chance, right? He just passed it to the keeper. It's a more difficult chance, but your clinical strikers try and curl it in, and not necessarily going to score because of the angle, right? But he just literally just passed it tamely to the goalkeeper. The first big one-on-one is where Kivior's providing, should have had an assist, where he plays in a great ball, right? He hits that tamely as well. He doesn't hit. If you actually,
he mishits it.
Yeah, if you actually watch it, he mishits the shot. That's why the keeper's able to save it. If he actually put his foot around it, or even what he should really be doing, I think, is sort of lifting it up a bit or something. And then the second one, yes, the defender's sort of running in on the side of him, makes it a little bit more difficult. But your top strikers, he's still got his body shape in front of the guy. He should still compose himself and slot that. I think there were bad misses, right? And then the other person that missed another chance. There's 3. There's 3 glaring, 3 players with glaring misses. Martin Odegaard, clean through, brilliant the way he robbed the ball and everything. If you watch it, he reads what the guy's going to do, nicks in, robs it. He's way ahead of everybody else. Just compose yourself and slot it away. And he put it wide. He's actually missed a lot of chances this season now, Martin Odegaard. He's pretty good with his finishing last season, but he's been missing quite a few, and that was a bad miss. And then the other one, and another player under pressure, Gabriel Martinelli. His chance, which, at the time the offside flag went up, so he's thinking, all right, that's kind of saved him a bit because he should have. But actually, you watch it back on TV, he weren't offside. And that was another easy chance. He's also a player that's missing a lot of easy chances right now. And these things make a big difference, because I always go back to that game against Bournemouth when we were down to 10 men. Where he had again, one-on-one, hits it straight at the keeper. I mean, take Odegaard out of it for a minute. Jesus, Martinelli are under serious pressure right now.
As someone said on a train yesterday, that years ago you wanted to be a Brazilian. You know what I mean? Nowadays you don't. You know what I mean? So, listen, I don't know how I feel. If Jesus scores that first goal from that, which was a back pass, I think he scores the next 2.
Yeah,
I do. But he didn't. But there's a thing where the ball goes out. At first bit he does really well, but that is where a proper centre forward, and I mean a goal scorer, his eyes light up and they go, this is it. Oh, thank you.
It's almost like an automated movement, isn't it? You just put it in like Havertz did against West Ham.
But I felt, it's just, oh no, I've got a one-on-one, I've got to score this. You know what I mean? There's pressure on that. There's pressure on him to score. And he done everything right, apart from the finish, you know what I mean? But that's the main thing.
You know what? Do everything wrong, but finish it. I'd rather that.
Like if he messes up the first bit, it doesn't. People wouldn't go on it, but he does it all so well that he does it. And we was talking off air, and it is, Julian said like you can forgive Odegaard a little bit more.
He had that run, didn't he?
Because he had the run. But if that was Jesus, you wouldn't be forgiving him, because you're going,
he's a striker.
He's a striker.
But also,
that's the where it is.
Also, one of Odegaard's, I wouldn't say weakness, just a characteristic, is he's not as fast. So he had further to run. And if you look, he was looking behind
way ahead
him.
of the
He was
players,
way
really.
ahead. But by the time he gets the goal, he should. A player, again, of his quality should do better.
Could have cost us that.
Yeah,
because in the second half now they
but you'll look towards Jesus' misses more than that.
And I think
it's a natural thing.
I think quite rightly so. He's a striker.
Because he's got the number 9 on his back. I think that is the problem. You know what I mean? You're there to be, and whether you like it or not, you can talk about Havertz as well and everything like that. When you're in that position, people look at you, goals.
Or at least assists.
Yeah,
so
like Haaland missed a similar one, probably just as easy as Jesus yesterday. But what's the difference between him and Jesus? He's got money in the bank, goals, so you can forgive it a little bit. And I think at the end of it, with Jesus, but I think if you take away, if he brings those goals in, everybody's going, well, what a superb performance it was. Because I thought he played well last night, but it comes down to goals.
January's coming up. Would you sell him?
But who's going to take him with that?
No, because I think
offer comes in January from whoever. Would you sell him?
Well, you have to. First of all, depends what the offer is. Secondly, you've got to replace him because you can't afford.
Decent offer comes in,
Julian.
You have to
answer the question.
You
yes
have
or
to
no?
replace him.
A decent offer comes
forget
in.
Right, just asking you the question. Would you sell it?
Call. If someone says to you 60 million, get your money back for him, you take it.
Well, the answer is no. Unless you've got, because imagine if Havertz gets injured, who do you play up front?
No,
you ain't worried about you go and get someone, wouldn't you?
If you've got someone lined up, it's not just anyone. If you've got someone that's going to be better than him, you have to replace. And I'm going to take my business hat off here and talk as a fan. Is that yes, sell him as long as you've got someone better to come in and replace him with.
All right. Would you sell Martinelli in January as well? Good offer comes in for Martinelli. Do you sell him too?
No.
Why?
Well, I've got an emotional attachment for a start. Really,
I think there's still potential. There's a lot
of potential, and I think he might be being played. Maybe the system doesn't quite fit him, and I've seen enough of him as a younger player, and to kind of give me confidence that
he might kick on.
Yeah, he might kick on. We see glimpses all the time. I know it's not consistent enough.
Glimpses. Let's ask the question.
I've seen enough
Let's ask the question then. If like what you just put on that first one, you could get a replacement.
Yeah, if you could get a replacement, and also
sell him?
If you get I think his ceiling's a lot higher. So if you sold him, like you said, 60 million for Jesus, you'd take 60 million all day long. If you had someone lined up to be able to come into the team.
Even if I didn't, I'd take 60
you'd probably take 40 million, to be fair.
For what, for Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't get 60 million for that.
No. So, listen, I think if you take, regardless of what you got lined up and everything like that, it's a harsh thing. The reality is you just turned around and said just 10 minutes ago, and it's not like you've given up on it.
I'd given up. So at that moment, I'd given up.
So that means you're selling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's harsh because he's a good footballer.
I'm saying 60 million for Martinelli. Would you take that?
Yeah, but here's the difference with Martinelli. If you sold him 60 million, you could see him then becoming like £100 million plus player, played in the right system with. So he's got the potential.
Yeah, but then you could use 60 million to go out and buy like a top.
I think we've just. Martinelli yesterday, we was talking about this, sitting around and thinking, I thought he'd done okay yesterday. I thought he played well, but as soon as the substitution coming on, right, he's coming off.
Yeah, because of the bookings.
Yeah, lucky
I'll go on that, right? That's exactly what we said, right? And we said exactly the same thing. 60 minutes of that game gone, and he's done okay, and he's coming off, and we all went, because it's the booking, right? So we turned around and said, the two substitutions now are going to be him and Marino, because he'd been booked as well, right? You know what I mean? And they didn't take him off. He didn't take him off because of the booking. He kept him on there.
But the difference was Marino wasn't lucky to still be on the pitch.
Yeah, one shot. I get what you're saying on that.
He should have been sent off.
I agree. He should have been sent off. I totally agree. But what I'm saying is, if you're playing well, and you know you're going to come off listen, we can talk about Saka. I didn't think Saka was at his greatest. They're very quiet, but he's got 2 goals. The reason he's got 2 goals is because he's clinical and everything like that.
What? No, he wasn't at his best, but he's productive.
Yeah.
Unbelievably productive.
That's what your job is, to be.
Yeah, but also he stays on.
This is the problem. This is the problem. You guys sometimes you look at too much aesthetics. So somebody's running, excited, explosive. Saka 2 goals and an assist last night.
Yeah, amazing.
I didn't even know he got the assist.
Right.
Well, I don't think it is an assist because it's an own goal. You don't get an assist for an own goal.
All right, but he's
an own goal.
All right,
it's been given as an own goal.
Goal involvement.
Really?
Yeah, actually, he's just slightly come off the defender.
Yeah,
the goal involvement. Yeah, is him.
Havertz didn't touch it.
And it came off the defender last, apparently.
Right, the goal involvement is him. So I mean, this is the problem: is that we're getting all that on one side, then on the other side, we're not getting that this season. That is what the problem is. So if you've got 60 million or 70 million, 60, 65 million for Martinelli, would you sell him in January?
No.
60 million?
Yeah.
No.
Would you?
60 million.
I'd consider it, yeah.
That's not the question.
If we, what you guys said, if I can find a replacement that's because
I found a better replacement for 50 million,
I like Martinelli. I really like Martinelli.
Well, you selling for 60 and going by
I said right at the start of the season that I feel he's under a lot of pressure this year because I just kind of studied what Arsenal were trying to do in the summer. They're trying to get Nico Williams. That was their number one target, right? So that is the player that they were looking at. Because I think they can see that they need a little bit better quality over on that left-hand side to try and match up with what they're doing on the right. They didn't get him. Martinelli's got loads of games this season, and he's been a bit, you know what I mean? So he's under a lot of pressure, right? Listen, I'm not saying, and I don't think they're even going to consider selling him in January. I personally wouldn't. With Martinelli, I think he would be as good as that player to bring on, or that player that you can rely on as your other sort of left winger. But as the main left winger, with what we do on the right hand side, I want to see a bit more of that over on the left hand side. And I think this season he's not been beating players enough. He doesn't go past players enough for me, right? And then he's not been clinical enough for me in a lot of situations. Now, hopefully he can come good in the second part of the season. But so far, I think he's been a bit hit and miss. He's been hit and miss.
He's not been brilliant, but he's not been poor either.
No,
he's somewhere, and I can understand that you can think about upgrading that position. I'm not sure whether his skill set is actually complements exactly what Arteta wants a player to do on that side.
Which is what?
Which is when they cut in and take the shot.
Well, you want a player. You want a player who's playing out wide, right? You've got to be able to beat players. You've got to be able to put good crosses in.
Well, you put a few good crosses in yesterday.
And you score goals, right? You're not scoring enough goals. He's not putting in enough good crosses, and he's not beating players.
I thought yesterday he put in a few good crosses. They didn't get converted.
I agree. I don't think his crosses were that bad yesterday. But the one thing I will say, it doesn't look like he's going to beat a man at this point in time. That is the problem with him. That even yesterday he's doing that shuffle and then.
It's like when he cuts in, it isn't effective, is it?
Yeah, well, what the defender is saying, you cut inside, and that's where all the players, that's where the traffic is. Like, you know what I mean? I'm taking you into the traffic, and that's so that in a way, you're sort of they'd rather him come inside than go out. So he's where with Saka. When you watch Saka, I don't know what way he's going to go. You know what I mean? Like you know. And he does it very, very well. I've got to say that, even with two players on him, he can go on the outside. And why he hasn't gone on from that, Martinelli, I don't know, because he's got the pace. You know what I mean? Like
he started life as a centre forward, didn't he?
Yeah, and I thought like there was arguments that he could go there, but like I look at him yesterday, even he does that little thing where he keeps dragging it and dragging. Take him on, drop your shoulder, beat him. Listen, it's not easy because these defenders are good, but he's got to add that to his game, and he's not doing it. And I think that's where Trossard comes on yesterday, and he goes past his man straight away. The game's more stretched and all that. I get that, but I think that's the one thing where I'm looking at him and now and going, come on, beat your man a little bit more than what you're doing. Show a little bit more.
I think he needs to get better crosses in as well. Like I think if he got better, he just seems to just float these little balls into the box sometimes. I want to see whip balls in.
Even at Fulham, unfortunately he was offside, but the ball he put in for Saka was brilliant.
Yeah, but one in 8 is not.
But then yesterday,
yeah, like Lee said, it's not consistent
but then yesterday,
enough.
He put in a number of good crosses. They just weren't converted.
Yeah, and also like he's putting in crosses when Havertz weren't there. You know what I mean? So. It does look a little bit better when he's got that aerial threat.
I mean, a big problem that he does have, right, is that he's got Saka on the other wing, right? He's so good, right? So it does show him up a bit.
Well, yeah, two chances yesterday, bang.
Yeah.
And the second one is not as easy as what you think it is. A lot of players would have hit the goalkeeper there, it's just a clinical finish.
Yeah.
Listen, I still say Saka was quiet by his standards because Monaco put 2 on him, but he still finds a way. I didn't know that one had been taken off of him. Like, you know what I mean? I thought Havertz did get some sort of touch on it, but anyway, by the by. But he's involved in all 3 goals yesterday.
Yeah,
you can't knock that.
Then Havertz comes on, and he's involved in 2.
Yeah. Havertz come on and done. We was in. I don't say about that game. It was 1-0. It was looking a bit iffy and all that, but he swung it in our favour when he come on. He
I thought that was the difference. Whether it was Jesus coming off or Havertz coming on,
just give us with a platform, didn't he?
Well, listen, on the weekend now we go back into the Premier League. Champions League's over and done with for now, and we're looking good in there. In the league, we're also third. This is an absolute must-win against Everton. I was just looking at some of the stats around. Arsenal have lost just one of their last 27 Premier League home games against Everton.
Best
122, drawn 4.
I think that was during lockdown.
They lost 1-0 in April 2021.
And that was a poor goalkeeping error by, I think it was Leno at the time.
It's going to be it's a very interesting game because will any of those injured players return? Looked to me like last night he rested up Timber, brought him on a little bit later on, but Timber was rested for that. Because the one thing we know about Everton, they're a very physical team. Actually, they're another team in this league that scores a lot of goals from set pieces. So, we're going to have to defend those set pieces very well. But they score a lot of goals from set pieces. They've been struggling a bit this season, but they did have that 4-0 home win recently. How are you guys feeling about this game? I mean, is it just about the win, or do you want to see a win and a performance?
Well, first of all, it's going to be an emotional game for me.
Kevin Campbell.
Yeah, Kevin's first, since his passing, is the first Everton Arsenal. I think they're doing something on Saturday as well. So so get in here early for that, if you can. So that's something but I think I think the team selection is going to be interesting. Does he play Timber at left back, or does he play him at right back, and what happens with Thomas Partey? But I think it's a game. Listen, we can't keep going, they must win games, and then we draw and we go, we're still in it. There's going to be a stage where if we don't win this game, we're going to have to just say we're not going to be in the hunt. But I think that we're at home. Get an early goal against them, I think it'd be a different game, but it'd be difficult if we don't. They're a stubborn side, I always think, with Everton. But I think if you can get at them, get that early goal, I think that we've got enough.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Sean Dyche would have probably watched that Fulham game back about 10 times and said to himself, we could do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the worry. Yeah. Great point.
That's how we get everybody behind the ball. You know what I mean? Like really, really hard to beat. And then just when we win it, lump it forward to Calvert-Lewin, see if he can hold it up. Get Dwight McNeil running in a wing, whip a couple of balls in, but basically frustrate Arsenal. You can see, I've been reading, a lot of, going on social media, reading their fans. They're all losing it. After that draw against Fulham, this is made for us. We're just going to go there and frustrate the life out of them.
But that's what they do anyway. I mean, Everton. If I had to pick, I'm not saying I want Everton relegated, but someone has to be relegated. And if I was to pick which team I've wanted relegated for the last few seasons, it would be Everton.
Why?
First of all, I don't like the M6 and having to go that far from the way ground.
It's all right to go. He's up for going to Girona, though.
Yeah,
looking forward to going to that, but he don't want to go at the M6.
No, it's
new stadium next year. You can put that on his spreadsheet.
Yeah, no, I am. That is an advantage. I like to go to new stadium. But the main reason why I don't want to see Everton in the league as much as other teams is because every time we play them, it is a slog. I mean, it doesn't matter what position they're in, and they're normally towards the bottom. Is that Sean Dyche he doesn't play attractive football.
That's just what makes the league so special, the Premier League, and that you've got different types of teams that do different things, right?
It doesn't feel that special when you play against a Sean Dyche team.
No, but I think it's a bit like
it's a slog.
It's a bit like boxing, right? They say stars make fights. You know what I mean? So sometimes you need someone a bit different to. You know what I mean?
And if we played a team that played beautiful football every game, then yes, that would be boring. So I do agree with the point. It's good to mix it up. But if I had to choose a team that I'd want relegated, it'd be Everton. So, however,
that's so out of order. Like, they made him so welcome.
Out of order.
They did.
I like
it's not about the fans. It's not about the fans. The fans I've had no issue with when I've met them physically.
You just disrespected their club. You know,
I've
got no issue with them, but you want to relegate.
Unfortunately, geographically, it's a bit more challenging for me to
go
go
up
that
the
far.
M6 to Liverpool. You go up the
Yes.
M6 to Man United. You
Yeah,
go
I'd
up the
ra-
M6 to Man City. You
And
don't
I'd
want them
rather-
relegated.
And I'd rather not have to go up the M6. However, it's the M1. The roadworks are terrible, but
Why don't you stay at home, man? It's such a snob, man.
because
You
I
only stay
like
at home.
going.
Helicopter.
I just prefer the London games because it's just easier to get to. That's all.
Honestly, no. This is shocking.
What? I don't like
This
sitting
is
in roadworks on the
absolutely
M6
shocking.
and getting home at 4 in the
I
morning.
love those northern games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it
wonderful.
that football all about? Every game to be played in London.
No, look.
What's going on?
not that every game's-
no one further than Birmingham he wants, you know what I mean?
It's not always ideal when you've got to get up the next day and you're getting home at 4 in the morning. However,
Saturday.
look,
Well, it would have been. It's actually at the Emirates, but
yeah, I mean, I enjoy, like, if we spent the night there, I quite enjoy a night out in Liverpool and Manchester. It's good, but then it's the slog coming home. That's all. However, just getting back to the football, I have watched Everton's last 2 games. Now, the first one against Man United that I watched, I thought defensively they were absolutely pathetic. It was it was just
Give
pathetic.
away every goal, didn't they?
It was so surprising to see a Sean Dyche team that you kind of associate with good defending, and it was absolutely awful. Then they've gone and won 4-0 against Wolves. I've watched that one.
Wolves' defending was pathetic in that game.
It's mad, isn't it?
I mean, they were good set pieces, but then you look into Wolves, and Wolves have conceded the most set pieces of any Premier League team.
Yeah, they've been awful.
It's 13. The next one after that, Southampton, at 8. So they are awful. So they exploited a massive weakness with their opposition. So it's very difficult to judge them. But if we can defend set pieces well, which I believe we can with the players we've got, especially if Gabriel's back in the team, I don't think we've got any issues playing Everton. I think we'll break them down. And if we score the early goal, like we all hope, I think it will be a battering.
Lee?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that if you look at Man United, as poor as they've been, they opened them up and then went on and won. Spurs, I think, won 5-0 against them. So they are vulnerable if you get in there. You know, don't give them any encouragement. Like, you know, they'll be sitting there going, and the manager will be saying it, that the longer we frustrate them, the better it is. The fans will get a little bit. They're a little, I would say, term, but we're a bit edgy. We're a bit edgy, I think, you know, is the word. I needed a bit of a confidence boost, which I got yesterday, like, from the team. So I think that, you know, they're going to make it very, very. I don't want to say boring, but you know what I'm saying. They're going to make it.
Well, you're going to use the. Why don't you just use the word? It's boring.
They're going to make it a boring game. Like, they're going to make it a frustrating game. Let's put it that way. They're going to try and frustrate it. It's going to. I wouldn't say a slog, but you know what I mean. I quite like Everton fans. I'm not going to upset them.
I don't.
You've upset. You've done it. You've done it. You said they're relegated. Look, listen, I've got a lot of time for Everton. I'm you know, like, for obvious reasons, they're up there, and I hope that they do survive, and I think that they will. But I understand what Julian's saying, the way that they play and all that. They're going to have to. They're not going to be an adventurous side, are they, with the players they've got?
Not with that manager there.
No. I actually quite like Sean Dyche. I think, like, you know, if you say to Sean Dyche, sit down and I'll go toe to toe with Arsenal, you're going to lose every single time. You've got to find different ways, and that's what you know. Sam Allardyce done it, you know what I mean, and all things. There's all different managers for different courses. They're not going to just come in to the Emirates and just say, do you know what, roll us over. It's down to us to find a way and make it happen, and I think that we will.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a must-win game, right? I know we keep saying it week in, week out, but these are. We're with the
particularly more at home
point situation that we're in. Have to win that game at home against Everton. Expected to win. Have to deliver. The game last week against Fulham. Listen, we did lose there last year. It was going to be a really tough test, but that was a game we really.
I felt it was like a loss.
It was an opportunity to close the gap. We didn't. But this one, if we lost this, I'm getting a little worried at the moment, right? Because it's like we go from highs to absolute lows. And it could just be a draw. and it's an absolute.
And
Everyone's
it's not that
absolutely
bad,
on the
is it?
floor. I mean, do you think fans here are just like getting a bit over the top now, overreacting with the? I mean, I know everybody's trying to chase the league and that, but draws against Fulham do happen. We lost there last year. There were other games you could identify last year where, games that we'd expected to win that we drew, Fulham at home when we drew. Like, are we just going too over the top? Are we putting too much pressure even on I don't know, because I know that we haven't got much margin for error. Arsenal's actually lost 2 games in the league this season.
We lost at Bournemouth, didn't we? We lost at Newcastle.
We lost 2 games.
Yeah.
You figure? I had to remind myself of that the other day. Seems like we've lost. Seems like we've lost about 5, but we haven't. We've actually drawn a lot of games, too many
that's
games.
The killer, isn't it? That's
but we haven't. We've only lost 2 games this season. But the way the doom and gloom was after that Fulham game, I mean, is it over the top for you, Julian?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this quite a bit recently, because I tend to try and stay quite stable. You can look back on it and think, since the international break, we've won every game, and we've got an away draw at a decent side.
But that didn't matter to the fans, did they? Like, the fans absolutely lost it. It's like sorry to cut into you there, Julian. It's like all of those results, the 3-0 against Forest, good result. Because especially when you see what they did to United and how they've been riding high, and when they came to Arsenal, hadn't actually lost the game away from home this season, beat them 3-0, went away to Sporting. We went to that game. A guy was saying to me, yeah, but look what has happened to them since. Don't matter. When we went to that game, they hadn't lost the game yet in the league. They hadn't lost the game yet in the Champions League, right? They were flying high. We put 5 past them. Then we went and put 5 past... West Ham,
yeah,
right, at West Ham, right. Then we beat Manchester United 2-0, right. But then 1 draw in that,
yeah,
and everybody absolutely lost it. It's like it was like a funeral.
Yeah,
I mean, are we going over the top?
Yeah, well, the answer is yes, and I have been putting a lot of thought to this, because you've just put the facts. You've told us the scores, and the scores are good. That record is good. And I liken the relationship that many fans have with Arsenal to other relationships that you have in your lives, like romantic relationships, that you can meet someone and it's all wonderful for the first few months, and there's a novelty of this relationship. I mean I remember maybe one of the first dates I had with my current partner, and I said, do you want to come and see a romantic comedy with Colin Firth? And she said, yeah, that sounds like really good. And I took her to see Fever Pitch, which she actually, at the time, she thought was quite cute. And then if I fast forward maybe sort of a year down the line, when you're a bit more familiar, then... You
really want to go down this route?
Well, there is so many similarities, but, a year down the route, a year down, you're more familiar, and... you can do something, a minor indiscretion, and she can, she can be hysterical, shouting, screaming, slamming doors, throwing plates, and it's nothing. And maybe but then this is what the fans are like, is that they're so close. I mean, obviously she's in love now, and we're in love with Arsenal, and little indiscretions drawing at Fulham can have these unbelievably over the top effects on your emotions.
That analogy is crazy.
Yeah, but it is, because we feel so close, and we have this familiarity because we're so close. And it's just very similar, the relationships we have with Arsenal as fans, because ultimately we love Arsenal. We love Arsenal there.
But do we need to sometimes, as fans, just take a little step back and say, yeah, we're being completely unreasonable here?
But it's very difficult when you're so emotional and you're so attached.
A fan said to me, we have to win every game from now till the end of the season. Now, I know why he said it, and we're under pressure, and what Liverpool's doing and stuff like that. Is that actually a reasonable thing to say?
We've been here before. We know what it's
Turkish.
like.
Turkish already. Turkish will sit down with me. He says, we have to win. It wasn't him who said this, but I know that if I sat down with him as well, and I said it, he'd say it as well. We've got to win every single game from now till the end of the Premier League.
We've got to go on a run.
Let's be real. If we think that's going to happen, we are being totally unreasonable.
No, man, it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen when you're the best team in the league when you go and win leagues. The Invincibles didn't do that.
Yeah.
What you've got to do, and this is where the disappointment for that Fulham game is for me and for everybody. We've got to win 10 games on the spin, and when you go into the likes of Fulham, Brentford, Crystal Palace, you know what I mean? Like I'm not convinced that we can win all of those games. I think that.
When was the last time we won at Fulham?
2 seasons ago, won 3-0, didn't we?
Yeah. So it's not like
it's
not like this week's game, right? If we went there and we lost or drew to Everton, I could understand the meltdown.
Yeah,
because that's a regular. That's one of those games that you look and say regularly. We win that.
I don't think there's any easy games away from home in the Premier League. I don't.
So if you go and you haven't beaten Fulham, who put everybody behind the ball, I know you can be really, really disappointed, and you could come out of the game and express that real disappointment. I get that, but even days later, you're still like,
I think
these players adapt. Are we being completely unreasonable?
Yeah, we are a little bit, but I get why on Sunday. Like
on Sunday, but then I'm saying, Lee, like say even before the game, the other night, there's fans that's like literally like I don't even know where I'm going. There's one fan who said
and you never go again. You've said it when we've been told they say it. I'm never going again.
I'm not at this moment. I'm not at that. I'm not at that stage at the moment. I think after the game Sunday, look, I get it. Let's go back 3-4 weeks ago. There was a meltdown, right, after we drew with Chelsea. Right, looking at it now, that ain't a bad point.
So look how well I said on the day. Right, I said on the day and the day after, I said, Chelsea are a very good side.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I don't think that's necessarily a bad point. I got absolutely slated for saying that.
No, we got
absolutely slated. And then I said the same thing to the one of the people that was slating me. We was doing a live show. I said to my guy, "What was the score last year? We had a great season last year.
We drew 2-2.
What was the score?" I said, and I go, as a matter of fact, last year, we were lucky to get that 2-2.
Much better.
If you remember, we were 2-0 down and we came back. Yeah. Declan Rice had that strike near the end. I said, we were lucky to get that. I go, and they're better this year.
Yeah,
and I said, look what they've been, but City beat them at the start of the season. So, I just see a lot of completely unreasonable things from fans at the moment.
That's where it is. I get why the reason that I had the ump on Sunday is because Liverpool did not play.
I understand that.
So there was an opportunity, not just for us, for Manchester City. Right, go and flex your muscles. Go and get it there. When Manchester City lost drew with Crystal Palace, a lot of fans, me included, were going, they're not quite at it. I don't think they're going to do it this year. And we went and done exactly the same thing. And that is where you're getting the meltdown. Yeah, we did. We didn't win, Julian. We drew.
But we didn't win. But for me, it goes back to it's a minor indiscretion. You take it into perspective. There's a reason why we've supported Arsenal. There's a reason why we've supported Mikel Arteta. We are in a long-term relationship with Mikel Arteta. He's been there 5 years.
Not everybody is, Julian. That's the thing. A lot of people, believe it or not, I went in the gym the other day. First thing, is it like, if he don't win a trophy, he's got to go?
That's rubbish.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what fans are thinking. You think it's rubbish. But don't. Everybody's not the same.
Yeah, everyone's different. He's entitled to his opinion. Where I think things are unreasonable. I'm interviewing Yardman last night, right? So he says to me, he goes, nobody should blame Martinelli for his performances, right? All of that blame goes on Mikel Arteta.
Why?
Right? Because he said he's not coaching him right. He's not getting the best out of him. He's not this. He's not that. I said, okay, cool. So all the praise then for Saka should go on Arteta then on the other wing. He said no. So I said, why? I'm going off of your logic. You just said that no praise should go. Everything's to do with Martinelli's down to him. So then when a player's doing really well on the other side, he goes, nah, because he's just a great player anyway. Those sort of things for me.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Then I just look on it and I say, honestly, like, I don't know, some of us as fans, we're being completely unreasonable. If we think, and listen, I would love this to happen, but if we think, I cannot remember an Arsenal team, and we've had some really good ones, that I'd say would be able to confidently predict that from December going right through to May, we're going to win every game. It ain't going to happen.
No, because you're realistic.
And it ain't
It's not happening with Real Madrid. It's not happening with Barcelona. It's not going to happen with Liverpool. Liverpool drew the other day to Newcastle, and they're playing brilliantly. They lost at home to Nottingham Forest. We're being unreasonable. Yes. I get it. I understand the frustrating. I saw you, when the game finished, I saw you talking to yourself really, really mad in the stadium, and I get it. The immediate reactions I get, but 2 days after, when you're still saying things like that's ridiculous. We didn't beat Fulham, but Fulham are a good side. You guys said it in the Premier League. It's difficult. You're not going to go everywhere away and win.
I said last season that walking out of Fulham, that will be the game that will cost us the league, and it did.
You said a bit more than that.
But that was the game that cost us the league because of the way we played and whatever. Sunday wouldn't, but I do believe that Sunday was a big thing for us because it was
because we had a chance
to really put pressure on 4 points on and all that.
And we did. And I get the frustration
and
after
the frustration
the game.
That the team selection. I said before the game, I said to you, I'm not having. You went, yeah, well, it's all right, and I said, no, it's not. It wasn't right. I didn't think it was right, but I felt that Mikel, and he got it right yesterday. You know what I mean? With the team selection, so it's fine margins. It's fine margins, but I get why supporters are getting there. I had a conversation in going to the game last week, and I couldn't believe what they were saying, that they want Mikel out, so I said, right, we've got 15-minute walk here. I want you to explain me why. And they said, he's not good enough to get us over the line, blah, 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 blah. And that performance on Sunday, I can't defend. I'm trying to defend it. I can't defend that after Sunday because of the things that are going on. But that my argument still is that we're still with 4 years ago. We was awful to what we are now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to games. We're coming away from Fulham, if you like, disappointed to draw a game. You know what I mean? There was 3 or 4 seasons ago, you didn't know what you was going to get.
And that's exactly the point I'm making. We are in a long term, whether you like it or not. Even the supporters that don't back him, we're all in a long term relationship with Mikel Arteta. In any long term relationship, it's never always going to be perfect. And what I'm always saying is that in the times where it's not perfect, don't look at it just in that one moment for that one game. Look at it over the course of the relationship, and then think about the reasons why you've been in that relationship for that length of time.
I just feel that, as I said, it's a fan said last night. He goes, everyone keeps saying that if he allows, in the first season, Slot or Maresca, who haven't, who've come in their first season to win the league or even finish above him, he's got to go. And he made the great point that, in his first season, Arteta, he did, because he goes, people keep saying, imagine these guys could win a trophy in their first season. He made the point that actually in his first season, he did win a trophy. Right? And also he made the point that, Maresca's taken over a team, right, that costs £1.5 billion, right? That's got a second team, right, with players like João Felix in it, Mudryk, this, that, right? Arne Slot is taking over a team that was challenging for the league last season, right? And also he made the point that none of them have actually won the league yet. But he was just sort of saying that how unreasonable is that to just suggest that because these guys have come in and these managers are doing a good job, but they ain't exactly taken over an average side, right? Right? Or you look in that Chelsea team and you look at the players they've got. I know they were a mess last season, but they were always going to get it together at some stage. And
they weren't a mess at the end of the season. That's why I was surprised they got rid of the manager. I mean, the last 10 games they did, apart from when they got battered by us, they were good.
So
I just think, and then I don't know, man.
There is a conversation, and I get the conversation. Is like, is he good enough to get us over the line at this moment in time?
He's shown over 5 years that he is.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He hasn't shown it.
He hasn't shown it. He's pushed. When people turn around and go, he's pushed a team that won the treble, like, you know what I mean, like. And people go, oh, you know, you have Man City fans saying the treble's the best treble in team and like that, and then they're bantering going, but you threw away the league. Well, you can't have been that good if you've done that. If you threw away the league, they didn't throw away the league. They won it, and they won it last week. You know, people turn around about last season. We didn't lose a game from January till May, right? Man City did not lose a game from December. They dropped 2 points to May.
Yeah.
From December to May, they dropped. When you turn around and go, oh, you've got to go on a winning run, like, you know, they done it. They dropped 2 points last season.
Although they didn't win every game, which is what people are saying.
They dropped 2 points from December to May
against us.
Against us.
Yeah.
That's what they done. That's what you was competing against last season.
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult. This season, don't forget, we've had a lot of injuries. I'm not making excuses here. A lot of things are not going well.
Listen, we're the third most injured team in the Premier League.
So at the end of the day,
Chelsea are like 19th in that table. They've not hardly had any.
No.
Although they did have a lot last year. But it does have an effect.
Of course it does.
But again, I was saying this, sorry Lee, I was saying this to a guy last night. He goes, don't matter. I go, of course it does. It matters in the balance of your team. It matters in the fact that if you keep changing, right, because that's one of the reasons I feel we've conceded more goals this season, because you keep changing the back four, because he has to. Partey's not a right back, he's having to play right back. Kivior is not as good as Gabriel, you know what I mean. Mars Lewis Skelly is not in the, he's done brilliantly, but he's a kid coming up, you know what I mean. Of course it's going to affect it if you haven't got, like last year, where you more or less were able to put the same team out every week.
Exactly. And do you think, like, if Man City had Rodri and their injuries, they'd be as bad as what they were this season?
No, that was a big thing. As soon as Rodri was out of the team,
you knew what was going to come.
It's been a lot worse than we thought it was.
The thing is with fans, and listen, me and Julian are completely different on the scale of football. And that is what makes football fantastic. If Arsenal lose, I'm terrible. I'm down, and they're the worst team in the world and all that. When they win, they're the best team in the world. You know what I mean? It's a roller coaster for me.
Yeah, but I have to say, in your defence, I learnt this about you over the years, is that short term you lose it. I remember there was a friendly in Scotland, and we lost the friendly. We had to walk around the park. I had to give you counselling from losing a friendly, and you were going ballistic. But then when we'd done a lap of the park, you're like, that's all right. And you kind of move on.
Yeah.
Whereas the next day, the day after, you sort of sit down, you assess it. But I'm saying that we're getting people that are sitting down assessing it after many days. And don't get me wrong, there's been failings with Arsenal this season, right? And sometimes some of the things that people are saying, like not buying a striker, they're right. But there's a lot of things that people have said.
He's made mistakes this season. Let's get it right.
They are right with, but I just feel that if you're going to, some of the things are also very unreasonable. If you're going to say we're going to have to win every single game from now till the end of the season, it ain't happening.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I don't think it will.
But I'll tell you what, you have got to win, all right? From now to the
as
end
many
of the
as
season,
possible, and try
every single home game you have to win. Like if you drop points at home, that ain't acceptable. Because we've put ourselves in a position. You're going to drop points away from home. I don't care what you say. Like it's tough.
The home's got to be a fortress.
That is a gimme. And if Mikel can't do that, so my problem with Mikel, and I'm still the one thing I will say is that he has those games where you're on a roll, and then he makes 2 or 3 changes and it don't work, like, you know what I mean? And I felt on Sunday he'd done that again, you know what I mean? The justifications to play one player at left back, like putting Timber over to left back and changing Partey and all that, I think didn't go well with us on that game. Like, you know, there are times when he's made a couple of decisions that I think have been, but I felt he's cost us with the Odegaard situation. Didn't address that. But there are times when he also gets it right. But I'll tell you what does frustrate me a little bit. If he does get something right, or we win a game like, the other team's
expected,
crap. The other team's crap. What do we expect to win that game? So when you don't win a game, when you don't play it like, you know what I mean, like the Liverpool game, we should beat Liverpool and all that, like, you know, I look at that and I think, do you know what? Considering what happened that day, I'll take that.
Yeah.
You know, disappointed. Of course, you're disappointed. But at this minute, it's like, get rid of him now. Like, you know what I mean? He's took us so far. You know what I mean? Like,
Liverpool have beaten Real Madrid, who've beaten this team, that team, destroyed City.
Yeah, people want Ancelotti, like, you know what I mean?
But I'm saying that Liverpool, they destroyed City. They've beaten everybody literally, right? And apart from us. and then with a depleted team, get rid of him. Come on, let's be.
I think one of the things everybody's got to realise, and I believe this, and I've actually said it yesterday coming out. We're still a good side.
We're a very good side.
We've got good players. A little bit of luck. We can still do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is my feeling.
So we're up against it. Right?
We're up against
Liverpool
it.
are the favourites.
We're behind the black ball. We probably need a snooker, but in snooker, I've seen players get a snooker and win the frame. You know what I mean? So it can be done. You've got to keep faith and keep supporting, and just hope that it can. But you know, a lot of these things, you know, I'm done if he ain't winning a trophy and all that. Like, so if he wins the Caribou Cup, like, you're going to be. I guarantee if that ain't going to be enough.
That won't be enough.
It won't be enough.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Look, life isn't perfect. If he has a minor indiscretion, don't slam doors, shout and scream, be hysterical, and definitely don't throw plates.
Anyway, listen, we come to the end of the. We leave it on that note.
This episode.
We leave it on that note, right? Listen, thank you very much for watching the show today and listening to the show. Remember, you can download this podcast on all your usual formats like Spotify, for instance, and of course watch it on YouTube and all across the various platforms. Thank you very much to NordVPN for supporting us on this video. Also want to big up to Lee and big up to Julian, and of course we'll be covering that game. Big watch party we've got in the studio for that Everton game, so make sure you check that out. Massive game for Arsenal. Every game's massive. A game that we must win. So make sure you check that out on Saturday, and of course we'll be at the game as well, speaking to the fans. Thank you very much, and see you next week. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.